what's going on, guys? Making welcome to another Elestrals deck profile. I've just been liking these so much, so I wanted, well, I say these, I've uploaded one of these, but I just really enjoyed it, so I wanted to make another one. Today we're going to be talking about fruits, but although I don't have my Frostfall stuff like in the last deck profile, the Rune Control deck profile, I do have proxies made for fruits. I also have my my Frost deck. I'm playing Chivalror. So if you guys want to see a Chivalror deck profile, let me know. So far in testing has not gone well. But it's not, that's mostly just because a lot of times in testing I haven't hit Mountains of Boreas, which is very, very prevalent for that deck. But that's beside the point. We'll talk about that another time. This is fruit. This deck has been performing very well in testing, and I think this deck might be one of the best decks of the format. I shouldn't really say that. It's going to be a meta contender. I don't think it's going to be like the best deck, but it will. I think this is now better than Earth Beatdown as the premier Earth deck in the format. I really, really like fruit. I think it's awesome. Let's get straight on to the deck. So for the Elestrals, starting things off, 3 copies of Tritaya. A lot of the time we only played actually 1 copy of Tritaya. Sorry, 2 copies of Tritaya in the past because usually you didn't have enough Ambrosia to warrant playing 3. You would likely see a Tritaya and not an Ambrosia. Now with Cornucopia in the game, we can play 3 Tritaya and actually benefit from it very well. When a player casts Ambrosia, draw 2. Very, very powerful card. We are also playing our 1 of Latagon. I'm very tempted to bump this card up to 2. It really is good if you're able to just stick any Earth guy and just have like 1 or maybe even 2 Ambrosia in hand. I had a duel, clash, my bad, Yu-Gi-Oh! In me, but I had a clash where I used a Viserys on field. My opponent had already dealt with 2 of my Viserys, so I was like, I don't really need a 5 beater right now. It doesn't do anything else. So I decided to ascend it to a Latagon, and then I had 2 Ambrosias in hand. I had a normal Ambrosia and a Cornucopia. I activated the normal Ambrosia. My opponent Divine Blessing it, so I was like, okay, that's fine. Cornucopia. Off the Cornucopia draw, I drew another Cornucopia. it was a pop 2 of their cards. I just went through their entire board. Latagon's crazy. Drataya's crazy. It's so good that we now get to play 6 copies of Ambrosia. It's so good. But for a little bit of searchers, we are also playing 3 copies of Rummagem. Rummagem is very powerful just to get to your copy of Tritaya, or if you already have a Tritaya, maybe a different beater, like a Viserys, or maybe just a card to sort of clean up the board, like Equilinx. We are also, though, for another searcher, playing 2 copies of Paleoth, which, as you can clearly see, proxy, but it's fine. So Paleoth is an interesting card. It's not as good as Rummagem in terms of search power, but it is still a searcher. When it's destroyed in battle or by an opponent's card effect, you can search your deck for up to 2 1-cost Earth Elestrals that have the same name, send 1 of them to your underworld, and add the other to your hand. This is incredibly powerful to not only thin your deck a little bit, it's just an additional searcher. So it's basically Rummagem 4 and 5, just a little bit worse, because it does have to be destroyed by battle or by card effect, but it does allow you to, at the very least, thin your deck and search a Tritaya, which is actually pretty good. We're also playing, just for additional Earths, 3 copies of Equilinx. This card's just crazy. 3 copies of Viserys. This card's just crazy as well. It's not as good in Frostfall, I will say, because a lot of the premier beaters in Frostfall are either 6-7 attackers. For example, the main big beater right now is what's his face? Cryovern, which is a 7 attacker. So Viserys not nearly as good. Cryovern just kind of runs this card over, but not a bad card nonetheless, especially in Earth, where it can just swarm the field and go off from there. And also 3 copies of Eletric to search our Demeter, just so that we have additional attack power and ways so that we have a Nexus Bank for something like Equilinx. So that's it for the Elestrals. The runes are actually not too different from what you would normally play. So 3 copies of Ambrosia, obviously. This card's just crazy. It's crazy in any deck. It's especially crazy in this deck because, you know, it's Ambrosia for a fruit deck. So there you go. We're also playing 3 copies of Cornucopia. So Cornucopia, crazy card. So it does require 2 Earth, which isn't It's not good, but it could be worse. Cornucopia does allow you to draw a card, then return any number of spirits from your underworld to your spirit deck, up to the number of ambrosia in your underworld. So basically, what I was able to do with that thing before that I talked about, where I casted normal ambrosia, my opponent negated it with divine blessing. So I then went cornucopia. This is basically at that point a one-cost spirit, a one-cost rune. So I went with this. The reason it's a one-cost rune in that scenario is because I had one ambrosia in the underworld. So I casted cornucopia with 2, and then I got to return 1. So it was basically a one-cost, and then when I drew the second copy, I casted it again. I got to return 2 of them. So it was basically a free cornucopia, which is absolutely insane. The cornucopia changes this deck so much. It draws you cards, it regenerates you, it procs your Dratayas, it procs your Lady Guns. Unbelievable card. Crazy. 3 copies of Demeter. This is just now for basically the Earth good stuff. You have the 3 Demeter, the 3 EQ, and then for the counter runes, 3 Tsunami, 3 Shield, 2 Gorgons, 2 PTA. This counter rune lineup, I'm still sort of debating what exactly I want to play. I'm thinking of dropping a Shield for Gorgons. In base set, I don't think Gorgons was super amazing. It was helpful in certain situations. However, in Frostfall, there are a lot more effects that you do actually want to negate, to the point where I do feel like 3 Gorgons might be a must in like basically every deck. So I think dropping a Shield for a Gorgons is probably the way to go moving forward. But this is basically the deck that we're playing. That is it for the main deck. The Spirit deck it's actually not too interesting, to be entirely honest. We are playing 1, 2, 3. Oh, my! I didn't. I thought I sorted these. My bad. I did not. You always check to see if you sort them. So let's start that one over. If I can stop dropping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 16 copies of Teratlus. You might question why. You could very easily in this deck, if you want to, play like additional copies of Lavalith. You can play 2 copies of Lavalith and 2 copies of Vipyro in this slot if you want to. I couldn't find the deck space, so the reason I'm playing 16 Teratlus is because the only non-Earths we're playing in the deck are our 3 copies of Elestrals, of which we have 2 Zaptor for, and our 3 copies of Tsunami, which we have 2 Leviathan for. So I just basically took that. I took the two Tsunami. I was like, okay, that requires 2 Leviathan. Then I took the 2 Elestrals. Okay, that requires 2 Zaptor. And I was like, well, I don't have any other elements in this deck, so 16 Teratlus. That kind of fills the deck in. But that's it. That's entirely it for the deck. This deck sucks. I was about to say this deck sucks. No, this deck does not suck. This deck is awesome. I absolutely love it. Just Cornucopia alone makes this deck so much better. It makes it so much more fun. The fact that we can play 6 Ambrosia. You also might be questioning why we're not playing Golden Apple of Discord, because if you don't know, Latagon allows you to activate its effect on a cast of Ambrosia or Golden Apple of Discord. Reason being, Golden Apple is just not a very good card. It allows you to discard a card from your hand, to discard a random card from your opponent's hand and send the top 2 cards from their deck to the underworld. It's not a necessarily bad card, but for the purposes of this deck, Golden Apple of Discord only triggers Latagon. It does not trigger Drataya, so a lot of times, if you don't have the Latagon out, it's kind of just a dead card in your hand that doesn't really do anything. So that's why we're not playing Golden Apple. I think Ambrosia, just 6 copies of Ambrosia, that fills the deck very, very nicely. If you don't see any of your Ambrosias, or if you don't end up seeing your Dratayas, you can just go for like Viscerus kind of stuff. You can go for Ecolink stuff. There's a lot of different things you can do. You can go Demeter Beatdown, basically. This deck doesn't need to hit their pieces, but if it does, it just goes off, and usually you're going to do it. But that's going to be it for this deck profile. Really hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure to slap the like button and subscribe for more. Hope to see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.